Okay, how's everybody doing this evening? Of course, my name is Kent, and the channel is EOS San Diego. And I want to talk a little bit tonight about Brendan Bloomer. Brendan Bloomer here recently had a quote, or actually had a tweet, that he sent to Donald Trump. Actually, I'll read the title. It said, President of the United States, Donald Trump, should embrace blockchain to truly make America great again, says Block One CEO, Brendan Bloomer. And of course, here is his tweet. If real Donald Trump embraces a blockchain with clear rules that promote innovation in financial markets and digital goods, USA will trailblaze the next age of digital prosperity. And he made that on January 6th, and I believe today is January 12th. So good for Brendan. He is trying to get through to the President of the United States, trying to tell him that blockchain is a great way for the U.S. to go and to make it so it's easier. We don't have to worry about calling something a security or not a security, and security exchange and rules and regulations, but open up the world of blockchain to the United States of America. What Donald Trump's position is on this, we have no idea. I don't even know that Donald Trump has ever made any public position on blockchain. I've never read it. Well, let's just look real quick. I'll just go to the internet and type in Donald Trump and then put in blockchain and see if he's ever even said anything about it. I mean, let's see here. Donald Trump hires prominent blockchain, Bitcoin support. Yeah, we knew about that. He put somebody very pro blockchain on the Securities Exchange Commission in order to vote on whether to allow these to be, deciding whether Bitcoin was going to be able to be traded on exchanges, or if it was going to be able to. So yeah, in that respect, yeah, he sounds like he is kind of a little bit of a pro blockchain kind of person. But right here, he says, I am pleased to announce that Mick Mulvaney, Director of the Office of Management and Budget, will be named acting White House Chief of Staff, replacing General John Kelly, who is, I don't know if that has that much to do with blockchain, though. Bitcoin supporter. So yeah, I mean, maybe he's got this guy on. Maybe he is blockchain supporting. I'm not sure. But anyway, I thought that was nice for Brendan Bloomer to make that tweet. I thought it was pretty interesting. But I want to go in a little bit deeper about this. I want to go into what the University, or actually Wyoming, is doing, because Wyoming is actually doing some really proactive stuff as far as blockchain is concerned. I'm interested in this. I went to law school. I was also a former stockbroker. My wife is a lawyer. In fact, my wife graduated from law school from the University of Wyoming. So we like to keep up on this kind of stuff, and I think this is pretty interesting what's going on. Wyoming's really passing some very progressive blockchain legislation, and I wanted to bring it to your attention. In fact, this is very, very new information. Very, very new. In fact, it's today. What did I say today was? Today is the 12th of January. This is stuff that just got released a couple of days ago. Actually got released on the 10th and 11th. So I'll read it to you, and we'll go through it a little bit. The state legislature of America's state of Wyoming has reportedly passed 2 new House bills that aim to foster a regulatory environment conducive to cryptocurrencies and blockchain innovation. The developments were reported by the president of the Wyoming Blockchain Coalition, Caitlin Long, in 2 tweets posted January 10th and 11th. To press time, only the status of one of the bills, House Bill 62, has been updated on Wyoming's state legislative page, showing passed 8-1, and has since been placed on general file. The official status or status of the second bill has yet to be updated. But let's look at this first bill, 62. So this is actually the state of Wyoming 65th legislature. So legislation for 2019. Wyoming This is the bill right here, HB 0062, Wyoming Utility Token Act Amendments. And let's read what the bill says. An act relating to property, making legislative findings establishing that open blockchain tokens with specific consumptive characteristics are intangible personal property and not suitable to a security exemption. Okay, remember those words. Are not subject to security exemption. Providing definition requiring developers and sellers of open blockchain tokens to file notices of intent and file with the Secretary of State, authorizing specific enforcement actions, establishing virtual currency as intangible personal property. Okay, so we're established as an intangible personal property, making specific violations, unlawful trade practices, repealing provisions, granting open blockchain tokens a security exemption. Right there. There's your key word. Open blockchain tokens a security exemption. So they're saying it's not going to be a security. Very important, because the Howey test is 1948, I believe, Supreme Court ruling governing what is a security, not a security. Very broadly defined. If you are raising money, you are in jeopardy of being a security. I've looked at this case many times and discussed it with many people that are very knowledgeable. It takes in a really broad definition of what a security is, and that's why ICOs are sometimes classified securities. And even the fact you may, for instance, let's say you pay a block producer dividends, that could be considered security, or you lease your tokens, that could be classified securities. So all this, basically, if you're investing money and getting a return, that can be classified as a security under normal Security and Exchange Commission rules in the United States. Elsewhere in the world, I don't know. But in the United States, that's the way it is. So here they're saying, no, they're exempt from the security, being a security, they're being exempt from that. Specifying applications, providing an appropriation, providing for an effective date. Okay. So let's take a look at a few of these. Let's go down to III. The open blockchain token governed by this act do not constitute securities. See? Once again, they're saying it's not a security because a person who has sold a consumptive means something being able to be used up, open blockchain token cannot receive a cash payment or share a profit from a developer or business, but will instead receive a fixed amount of consumable services, content, or property. And then they go on. Let's take a look at that. So let's go down here for a little bit further. An open blockchain, which I'm reading from B right now, an open blockchain token with following characteristic constitutes intangible personal property. The predominant purpose of this token is to consume, as a defined in paragraph of the section. The developer or seller do not make the token to the initial buyers a financial instrument as defined in paragraph. And they're getting into some technical legal jargon here, but I don't want to read all of it. But I want to go down and read a couple more. I want to read I've written a few down here I want to read. I want to read III because I like the definition that they use for blockchain. III. I think it's III. The facilitator shall not take responsibility, prompt action to terminate the resale. Okay, that's not the one I want. Which one do I want? I want II. Or which one do I want? Oh, right here. I want this one. This is the one I was reading earlier. I really liked it. This is the definition of blockchain. Blockchain means a digital ledger or database which is chronological, consensus-based, decentralized, and mathematically verified in nature. I love that definition. That's such a clean definition for blockchain. I thought they did a really good job in making it sound so you could understand it. I wanted to read number D down here too. So anyway, we can read all this. We can go through it and we can decide. There's obviously, it's a legislation that's going to be looked at and interpreted by different people in different ways. But I just want to talk a little bit about this type of stuff at the top. because it says something that you really got to look at here. It says, I'm reading it right now. I'm sorry. Okay, right here. It says, are intangible personal property and not subject to a security exemption. What does the security exemption mean? What it means is that you've got to get an exemption from the Security and Exchange Commission for whatever it is that you're offering. So this is a federal securities exemption, and this is all the rules and regulations that have to be met for you to be able to offer a security. Of course, a Regulation D, a Form D at 504, 505, 506, accredited investor, not involving a public offering exemption. This is all the stuff that they're talking about. You're exempt from Wyoming on having a consumption-based coin token offering. So this is getting rid of a huge amount of burden. Let me just read real quickly what a accredited investor is, because in order to even buy an investment security, you need to be an accredited investor. And for an accredited investor, you need to be certain securities offered that are exempt from registration may only be offered to, so if you're exempt. So if you're not an accredited investor, you can buy this stuff, which is kind of what's going on right now. A bank or insurance company, registered investment company, business development company, or small investment company, an employee benefit plan, if bank insurance, in assets of $5 million, a tax-exempt charity, a partnership in excess of $5 million, a director, an executive, or general manager of the company selling the securities, the enterprise in which all the equity owners are accredited investors, an individual with a net worth of at least $1 million, not including value of his or her primary residence, individual with income exceeding $200,000 in each of the 2 most recent calendar years. This is what you got to be. You got to meet these requirements to buy something if it's not a security. So in other words, for you to buy 1 token of EOS, if EOS was considered, okay, let's say EOS is not a security. It's not a security. You've got to make these. You got to be an accredited investor to be buying something that's not a security. Now, if it meets a security, you don't have to meet these requirements. But if it's not a security, you got to meet these requirements. So now you can see why the hurdle is so high for people to invest in things that aren't considered securities, and why it's so important not to have those security burdens on these kinds of investments, because it makes it almost impossible for anybody to invest in these kinds of things. So that's what you're looking at. This is an accredited investor, and this is what happens when you don't meet and the reason why these laws are in place is for a specific reason. They're in place to protect small people. So if you have a little bit of savings in your bank account, and somebody comes by with a very risky investment, and they say, "Hey, could you buy my investment? It's a great investment. It's $250,000, and that's all the money you got. You give it to them, and you lose your money. Well, then you're pretty much out." So the Security Exchange Commission comes in and they make it so that if you've got something risky, you've got to be able to have the financial wherewithal to be able to purchase it, or the sophistication or the understanding. And this is what they're saying you got to have. This is an accredited investor. If you're an accredited investor, then you can make these kinds of investments. If you're not, you can't. So that's what you're up against. So yeah, this is a lot of stuff, a lot of interesting stuff. I would hope that the rest of the states of the United States would be looking at this legislation that Wyoming's coming up with. They would also adopt the same legislation, because it looks like it's very pro blockchain, and it's very helpful for anybody that's anticipating doing anything on the blockchain, ICOs, airdrops, whatever we're doing. This is all stuff that you don't want to be thinking at any time that the Security Exchange Commission could be looking over your shoulder coming in and wanting to wanting to look at you and deciding whether you meet those requirements or not. So anyway, interesting stuff. I thought it was worth talking about tonight. So, and in the meantime, Challenged app up and running, up with the link below. Please check it out. We've had a lot of interesting comments. We have a lot of people using it for a lot of interesting things, and we're thinking of more ways of using it. So please check it out. It's in the App Store right now. Thank you very much.